Adam, thanks so much. I've got a couple of questions. So I'm Alistair, and I'm a vlogger, and I look at systems change and aging adults here in BC. Maybe if we'd start with your name and what you do here.
Okay, my name is Adam Easterbrook. I'm a researcher, and my official title is research methodologist. I look at more or less system change and how we can influence and impact systems to change in ways that we hope create better outcomes for the people who work there and the people impacted by those systems. So work we're doing in long-term care, I do a lot of qualitative work, which means I speak with people, I observe people, I interact with them to try to get at their lived experiences within these systems.
And so walk me through, if you would, like a typical day at work for you.
Well, I don't think I have a typical day ever. I think it changes every day. So some days I will go to several different sites. I'll do what's called ethnographic work, where I'll go in, I'll hang out with people, I'll talk with them as they do their work, I'll observe them. And the goal is really just to see what staff and what residents are experiencing, just like you asked me, day to day in their own lives.
So one of the projects I know that you're involved in is the Views. What is the Views?
The Views is an amazing project because what they've done is they've realized, like I think a lot of us have, that long-term care isn't functioning the way it ought to be. So the Views is a great example of an attempt to change the culture of long-term care. So to move away from a very clinical medical model where we problematize people, we problematize their bodies, to looking at how we as people and us as a society or as an organization can change how we do things to give people more autonomy and more control over their lives.
So I'm just trying to imagine for myself and for people like me. So what's this going to mean for folks like me?
Well, hopefully it means we can all sleep better at night. I think one of the problems is the way we treat older adults is quite different than how we would treat children or youth who are in hospital or who are in care. A lot of staff don't feel good leaving at the end of the day knowing that they've left residents not receiving the care that they needed or weren't able to engage with residents how they wanted to. I think it also means that as we all age, as much as we don't want to, and maybe one day we end up in long-term care, hopefully we'll have better opportunities and we'll be able to have a more like person or social relational model of care given to us.
What does this mean for systems change?
It means trying something different. I think healthcare is often slow moving when it comes to change. And I think this sort of system change is maybe realizing that the approach we're using isn't always the best approach for everyone who's in the medical system. That maybe we need to meet people where they're at and remember that there's more to life than just like getting your medical treatment. It's about being able to live your best life, to be able to take risks that you deem acceptable so that you can enjoy the last days of your life. And hopefully as we engage in these sorts of system changes, they will impact other systems and help other systems change as well.
Adam, you mentioned culture change. What does that mean in relation to the Views?
So culture change is trying to challenge people's preconceived ideas about what they're doing now and how they could maybe change what they're doing to try a different approach that might lead to better care. What we're doing at the Views is more of a social relational model, which means instead of just seeing an individual as a problem, we start to explore how is the environment problematic? How can we change the environment so that people can live the lives how they want to? So that looks like giving people opportunity to take risks sometimes, giving people opportunity to go outside. So instead of locking all the doors so that you can never go outside so that you'll never fall, we allow people with some mobility to go outside and to enjoy the sun and take some risk knowing that that is just a part of everyday life.
And I'm inferring as I listen to you, Adam, that this is about a shift from the institutional medical models, which have worked to some degree, but I think we all get that there's a gap, and trying a different way that's a more person-centered way to move forward.
Definitely.
In culture change, I imagine that there's a lot of barriers. Just flesh this out for us, if you would.
There definitely are a lot of barriers. I think for all of us, change is hard, right? We get used to and comfortable doing things a certain way, and often we assume the way that we do things is somehow the best way, right? So I think one of the biggest barriers is getting people to accept that there might be a different way of doing something that might be better or more advantageous than the way they've been doing things previously. So a lot of I would say the foundation of culture change work is learning where people are and working with them to co-develop or co-imagine this better sort of future. A lot of staff who work in long-term care are themselves in vulnerable or marginalized positions, right? A lot of them are people of color, they're immigrants, they work multiple jobs, they've just been through a major pandemic, so they're burnt out. So I think one of the challenges doing this work is that it's hard for the organizations to reassure staff in the way that staff need to be reassured, because the organization itself is also restructuring and figuring out what things will look like. So a lot of my work is speaking with leadership, and I even see with them, as they engage in the culture change themselves, they realize that they also have to change their approach and how they're working with staff. So I think it's a learning experience for everyone.
What are your hopes and dreams about this work?
I think my long-term hope is that this is the start of a movement to really address the needs of older adults. I think a lot of times in our society, we see aging as a problem. We engage in many activities to try to limit how old we look. We fear olding. We make jokes about people who are aging, but we're all going to age. My hope is that through this work, we can really personalize older adults and their experiences, and that we can help them be able to engage with the community and engage with the activities that they enjoy, so that the end of their lives, the last kind of chapter of their lives, can be time well lived, rather than time that is spent alone